Alright, so let's look at sed here first. And I'm just going to go ahead and launch a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and launch gedit. I can start typing. I don't even have to click up here, which is nice. I can just start typing to do a search. So that makes life a little easier. Yeah, it is pretty cool, actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the DNS server here, because that's where I started doing some sed commands. And so here's one command I did with sed right here. I have another one over here, and I'm just going to go over some of these different options here. And I'm going to break this over into a separate file here and type it up. And also, I'm going to, and then when we do the DNS server, we'll actually use sed to actually automatically edit the configuration files to a certain degree. I was playing with it a lot last night, and then I just got frustrated. I was like, this is taking too long, so only did part of it for sed, and the rest of it we're going to hand edit because it was just too much headaches. I'll show you where it gets to be a headache. But anyways, there's certain things that are really easy to do with sed, and there are other things that are hard as I'll get out to do with it. Just because, and that's when I really want to use Python or something like that in its place, because it's very powerful what you can do with Python. You can do anything you want pretty much. Let me go ahead and do that, and let's blow this up a bit. Okay, so a few things here I would like to point out, and that is that, and this is also in your book, but scattered throughout chapter 27 or 28, whichever it is. I can't remember which one it is. On the shell scripting one, towards the last half of the chapter, it's all over the place. I clicked that. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and just save this as, let's just call this sed.sh. And I'm just doing this in order to make it highlight, although I'm sure there's some other benefits to this too. Sed.sh. Alright, so there's sed. And if I do !!bin/bin/bash, like so. Alright, so sed's got a couple different things here, and I'd like to point it out to you. And a number of them are really useful. SED, yeah, sed. No, sed. Not like you're talking. It's basically a stream editor where you can pass data to it and you can edit it. So that's the other thing you can do. You can redirect something from grep into sed and actually have sed go in and edit it and then kick it out as something else. Blah blah blah. You can do that. You can do crazy stuff like that. You can do anything you want for redirection type thing. So, oh, and also these regular expressions also work with grep also. So a bunch of you learned a big huge grep video was hour long or whatnot, but this has some more stuff to it too. So a couple of things. The period here matches any character. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in a £sign here in front of it. Comment this out because I don't want to actually execute. But let me just tab that over and say, let's see here, any single character match. And this matters. Believe it or not, this stuff also works with Python too. So this matching stuff, however, is identical in Python. It's also how they do their character string match. They use regular expressions straight from Linux. Why? Because the guy who developed it uses Linux. Goodio, he uses Linux. That's his main operating system. Python was created on Linux and then basically made to work on the other operating systems. So you got to realize it was born on Linux with many other things. Star, you're already familiar with it. I use it all the time. This is any number of characters, and any character. So any number of character matches. So basically all characters, if you will. Yeah, if that makes sense. £, space. Here, I'm going to do another one. This is special. This is brackets. Now, I want to point this out. This is one of those that will really mess with you, maybe. When you're looking at this, you're going, oh, I'm familiar with this. This is what we use in the other part. Yeah, not really. Sorry, that's just ugly. I'm going to keep it like that, and I'll just tab this over separately. And this is a special advanced matching system. So this gets into character sequences. I'll say defined character sequences. That's a better way of putting it. And what happens with this? I think that's how you spell sequences. Yeah, it is. I never trust myself on this stuff. You could also say regular expressions, etc. Defined within the brackets. Okay, so now you're used to seeing it like this, where I say if here, space, bracket, space, something here, bracket, whatever, and it's all spaced, can't have them touching anything, blah, blah, blah. The reason you can't have them touching is because this one right here that we're going over right now, regular expressions, they do touch. It's totally different if they're touching versus if they're not touching, okay? So this one's the equivalent right here of the if test type setup right here, whereas this one is not even remotely the same thing. This one, on the other hand, could be something like this, A to Z, and then I could say A to Z, and that would be all lowercase characters and all uppercase characters. Does that make sense?
So the brackets touch on either side, and things inside touch.
Yes, everything touches inside of this. No spaces. If you put a space in here, it will not work on this. Yeah. Let me put that. No spaces. Let's make that. Yeah. So that's pretty useful, and I want you to realize that. You can also do special names and all that stuff. We'll get into it in a bit here. There's some special things with that. This one's really interesting. This is the caret symbol, and the caret symbol is important, and this is actually on your final exam, so study this. But the caret symbol is the beginning of a string. It denotes the beginning of a string. So what does that mean? Well, basically, say I had something like Jill went to the store. I don't know, something stupid like that, right? And it's in quotes because it's a string, right? Or it doesn't even have to be in quotes. Actually, let's say this isn't a file. It's just a line in the file, right? Because that's a string inside of a text file. Beginning of the string would be right here at Jill. Where's the capital J right here? This is the very beginning of the string. Right there. Does that make sense? By putting that, I just said it, a caret. We can call it carrot top if you like, doesn't matter. But basically, that defines the very beginning of the string. So this is really useful, especially if you're working with like Python or something like that. And you're doing a web address, and you want to find the beginning of the string, or the beginning of the web address, and then you want to find what other parts of the web address there is, and define that so you can redirect it to a function or something of that nature. You can use basically the caret. Use it all the time, man. This is something you would actually use quite often. Caret is a very regular type of.
So let me just ask a question real quick. These functions that you're describing here are ways of using sed to go find something within a file.
Right.
So like if I wanted to find a single character like the number 10, number 15, I would use the period. If I wanted to find the number 137, I could use star.
We're going to get into that. It's not as simple as you're saying it. It's going to be more complicated. We're going to work in baby steps on this because once I start showing you some of the expressions, it gets kind of crazy. But let's work in baby steps right now. It's not as simple as just saying a period or whatever for 10. Actually, it's more complicated than that. And if you were wanting 10, you would actually declare 10 straight up. You're going to ask a question? What's that? The caret is going to put you right here before the J.
That's where we would actually enter it in that file, the script.
No, you don't enter it in the script there. This is what it would find. It would find the beginning of the line for the thing you were searching. So if you're searching a text file or whatever, it would find the beginning of the line for each line and what it searches. And we would start looking for our search criteria based on the beginning of the line, because it would require the beginning of the line for it to be a match at the beginning of the line going on. Meaning you couldn't find, like, say, for instance, okay, let's put it this way, okay? Say I was searching for went, right? But I put a caret in front of it for my search criteria like this, okay, this would not match. That would not be a match. Even though went is in there, it has to be at the beginning of the thing. So it literally has to be like that for a match, which would be the beginning of the line. The second one's a match. The first one is not. Does that make sense? So it's actually a matching criteria, if you will. This, again, can be used with grep or awk also. Yeah, but it's going to be more complicated than that. Yeah, we'll get into it. All right, technically it'd be this right here. You're gonna hate me for doing this. All right, /s here, sorry, I'm taking that back. Sorry, s here /boom. All right, and then I do caret top here, and then I do went, and then I say slash, and then I would say something like from there I would say I don't know, whatever I want to say. Maybe I want to be a space in front of it, right? So then I'd do a space, went, and then another slash like that, and then I'd end that, and then I'd say the direction of the file here from there, maybe like home slash student slash scripts slash whatever dot txt for the searching criteria, and there you go. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, that makes sense. Wow. Okay, I'm building up to that. But anyways, but essentially, that's a really, really simple example, which is great because it's hard to even find simple examples on anywhere. And also, I tried looking this stuff up on the internet and couldn't find a single good write-up on this stuff. It's very confusing. So I tried to find my big book on shell. I couldn't find it. I found my reduced shell book. This one works okay. It's Shell Programming 24 Hours by Sams. We may have it on the virtual library. I'm not sure. But regardless, that one's decent. It's nothing like Shells by Example, but Shells by Example is out of print, so you can't even get it anymore. But it's over 1,000 pages. And some of the stuff has changed since then, too. So it's not even viable anymore. The other one is, not question mark, I'm sorry, $. And you're probably saying, well, wait a minute, that's part of a variable. $sign means something completely different when we're talking about regular expressions. Regular expressions are defined between, these slashes right here, which is different from these slashes here. Anyways, the spaces, the expressions within here defines a special regular expression, okay, as it's called, for searching criteria. Okay, so the $sign there, and this is really useful. This defines the end of the line, or denotes the end of a string, or end of a line, or whatever. Does that make sense? I say end of a string because it's more accurate than end of the line. Because say you're dealing with a web address or something like that, that would not be end of a line because it's just a string. So it's the end of the string to be more accurate than what's written in some documentation. But they got the right idea. And then this slash, like I was just talking about, is different than the other one. Now, this slash is not part of. This one is the escape character sequence here. So just like you have in just every programming language you can think about, escape character. This allows you to do something literal. Like, for instance, say I need to actually have it look at $sign. I mean for it to actually search the $sign and not the end of the line. Does that make sense? So I'm going to do a /$sign, and now it's going to actually treat it as a $sign and not the end of the line. Does that make sense? So saying that this right here, daggone it, this right here would be, completely different, and this, of course, is all be held inside of quotes, would be completely different than this right here. Now, this one's kind of interesting right here because this actually means a blank line right here. Because essentially we're saying nothing becomes between the beginning and the end of the line, so therefore it's a blank line. That would let us find all the blank lines in the file, for instance. We could delete them. We could do stuff like that if we wanted to, thus letting us remove all the blank lines in a file and put all the lines together. You can do weird stuff like that. D is the. Well, I'll get into that in a bit. I'll get into that in just a second. But yeah. So there's that. One other thing I want to add in here, just because a lot of these documentations do not make this apparent. This right here denotes the actual regular expression. Begin and end. So the first slash is the begin of the regular expression, and the last slash is the end of it. Does that make sense to everybody? So that's why I was doing that triple one earlier when I was defining it. That's because I was doing two different sequences, one in here and then one in there, saying find this and replace it with this right here. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's what that's all about.
One before when you had the caret, you had slash, caret, when, slash, space, when,
yeah.
slash. You were saying, telling it to go in and find where the string begins with when.
Right.
Replace it with space when.
Yes. Yeah, we were going in and finding where lines start with went and replace it with space went. It's correct.
Within that file that you then
designated. Right.
Okay.
Within the file that I designated. Yeah. So we're going to get into that right now a bit here. And there's definitely some awesome stuff here. Common character sets. Let's look at a few of these here with the whole breakdown right here. So as an example of this one here, I just feel like should we go through it? So let's look at a few of these here. A-Z, close bracket, versus A-Z, like that. And I know I showed one of them earlier. These are each one you wouldn't put, well, you can put them like this. This actually is a legal thing to do. Again, I can do A-Z in lowercase and then A-Z uppercase like that. I can also do another bracket set here if I want here and do 0 through 9. I don't have to do 0 through 9. I could do 0 through 3 if I wanted to, for instance. Or whatever. I'm just saying that's your upper range because 0 through 9 covers every digit if you wanted to, if that makes sense. We can define particular digits if you so desire. A-Z 0-9. Alright, and that's the different example. And this would be all lowercase characters, all uppercase characters, and all numbers. All digits. And this only denotes a single character. So for instance, if I wanted to do something like an IP address or what, well, not necessarily an IP address, but let's just say, let's talk about phone number for instance. I would literally do 0 here -9, and then I'm going to copy and paste that because I am too lazy to type all that over and over again. So then dash 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That would be a phone number. Yeah, like 770-555. 55555. Call me right up anytime. Yeah. Is that your real phone number? Sure. It's 911-5434. Yeah, no problem. So, there's some definite nice capabilities here with some of the stuff. It gets interesting on how it works here. So, there's let's see here. What would be? So some stuff can get kind of complicated. Let's do patterns right now. Let's talk about sed here a bit. So this was regular expressions here. Let me break this out. Huh? Well, this is regular expressions which you can use with sed. You can also use this with you can also use this with grep. You can also use this with awk. Okay, so this can be used with several things. It's pretty much the same thing that's what's in Python too. Only Python's got a few extra things like W plus, etc. I'm not going to get into that, but it's got some other things besides this. So maybe let me get a little fancy here with this. Oh, I know, I have to do it. All right. It makes things so much more professional when you do it like this. Right? All right, let's do that right there. Let me give a pound sign to it. There we go. Well, technically I should have pound signs going all the way down, but I'm too lazy. All right, so, but that makes it a little easier to read anyways. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here and grab this top set here. All right. There we go. And in here I'm going to change this from regular expressions to said. Yeah, let's just do it in all caps. Normally you wouldn't be all caps, but whatever. All right. And one of them is going to be P. And P prints the line. And this can be useful at times. Sometimes it's not. I'll tell you what one I use almost always is just S. But anyways, we'll get into that in just a second. D is delete the line. So basically on the search criteria, when it finds whatever it's looking for, it deletes it. Deletes the whole line that it found it on. So if it found like went or wherever at the beginning of the line, it wouldn't have deleted Jill went blah 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 to the store. It would have deleted went to the store. Because yeah. Well, it'll take the went with it. Because it's going to take the whole line. I'll show you in a second. Yeah. Actually, let me do underscores so that way no one thinks you can put spaces in this thing. There's no spaces. Well, I mean, you can put a space inside a regular expression. Alright, I'll put a space. Whatever. Starting to think about, wait a minute, I just did that, and I did it in the other thing too, and it works. Anyways, my apologies, I'm not thinking. Yeah, I talk to myself all the time. Sometimes I talk myself into things too. It depends on how well I can convince myself of things. Alright, so from there, no, like for instance, I could do a sed right here, dash E, and then in here, I could do a D here. And then inside those brackets like that. And then whatever the file is, slash home, slash student, slash scripts, blah, 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 slash whatever, dot txt. Alright, so say I wanted to delete only the went from the, well, not wet in. Yeah, I will in a second. So say I wanted to do something like that right there, right? Yeah. So say I wanted that in there. Well, that's fine. The D is going to let me actually delete that pattern, if you will. I'm sorry, I don't put the D at the beginning. That's S, substitution. The D goes at the end, just with a P. Alright, so this is kind of weird, but like the D here goes at the end. Let me show you. Sorry, like that, not the beginning. I forgot. S goes at the beginning. It's the only one that goes at the beginning. D and P go at the end. Why is it inconsistent? I don't know. I'm not the one who developed sed. So, but it is. So those two go at the end of the line there for what I'm trying to match. Yes, exactly. So basically, it would delete went to the store versus Jill went to the store. All right, so basically what this means is that went to the store, this whole line is going to be toast. It's going to delete it. It's going to be gone. Whereas Jill went to the store will not get deleted at all.
So what if you just wanted to delete the word went?
You would use a substitution.
Oh, which is S.
So in order to do that, you would do a sed here dash e space slash tick single tick s here 1 2 3 slashes right here for substitution. Here we're going to do an upper caret here went here, and then I would replace that with nothing. So quite literally. And of course I'd need to define my location of my file, whatever, too. Now, something I want to point out is this gets displayed to the screen and does not edit the actual file itself. It displays its output result to the screen. So if you want to actually save this to a file, you have to redirect it to a file with a greater than sign. Does that make sense what I'm saying? That'd be appending. You wouldn't want to append. Yeah. Right. Which, if it already exists, it's going to keep appending the entire file over and over and over again, which is not what you want. So let's do this as a for real. We'll create whatever script. Could have called it stupid example. That would work out too, right? Whatever. .txt. So unprofessional. That's why I love it. Alright, we all have to love something unprofessional. Alright, so here we are with this. And then we also had that one for whatever reason. Close without saving. Yeah, sounds great. Alright, so there's whatever.txt. And say I want to actually do something with this. Well, as I said before, you want to see what would happen if I were to delete this line right here. So assuming I'm not full of it, or more likely I didn't think through something and then I'm going to be like crying about it later here, it should be alright here with this. Wow, that's not much output. Huh. Hold on a second, let me cat whatever. Slash home slash... No, not shouldn't be. Not for this one. For other stuff, yeah. Oh, it says it's empty. How about that?
Why would it be empty?
I don't know. I thought I just saved the stupid thing. Did I? What? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Okay, it wasn't saved. There's a moment of panic. There you go. So Jill went to the store, period. Yeah, that was fun, let me tell you. I'm going, what happened? Yeah, it took out, yeah, went to the store, deleted the whole line with that entry that matched it. Whereas Jill went to the store, didn't get deleted because it wasn't at the beginning of the line. So see how powerful this stuff is? It's just really can have a lot of control on it. And when you start getting to some of the stuff, you can really get crazy with it. Like I've seen lines that are like an entire it's like an entire line long of just the expression alone for something type things. Very easily done. And you can break it down. So things get interesting on some of this stuff when you really start getting crazy with it. It doesn't take much to get crazy with it either. So, you're just like rambling something on or whatever. This is something an interviewer might like to throw out there to stump you type stuff. So regular expressions is something, maybe not regular Joe knows type thing on Linux, but they're going to want it because then you can do crazy stuff with it. And so if they throw something out here, at least you'll know what it is. And And if you see it and you're like, I can't remember what that is, you can tell the interviewer, actually, I do know this stuff and I studied it, but I can't remember what that is at the moment. Do you mind if I go look it up, and then get right back to you after the interview? Do something like that. Because, don't sit there if you can't figure it out and like you can't remember one of them. Tell him what you do remember, and work it out so he knows you're not just let's say he knows he's foggy on it or whatever, and then tell him I need to look this one up because I can't remember exactly, or something of that nature. Of course, if you don't have a clue, well, yeah, it's a whole other ball game. But, but at least that goes a long ways. There's a difference between you know, and they'll throw stuff out there on purpose just to like, trip you up because they want to see if they can trip people up or not. And how you deal with it actually is part of the interview process. All right, so here's this one right here. And you were asking me how to remove the word went with nothing. And there it is. Went to the store. It's gone. But only removed the one that was at the beginning of the line. Because I put... Yeah. See, whereas if I took out the little caret in front of it, what's it going to do, guys? Yeah, but no. Right, because I didn't say beginning of line anymore. Right. Right. And then, as I was saying earlier, I can take something like this, redirect it into, how about I could care.txt, and we'll generate that file. Okay. And so now the end result, if I cat I could care, first off, if I could get into scripts, that'd be really useful. If I'd stop catting CD, that would help too, right? Gosh, I started one thought and then continued a different one. All right, so I could care txt. What did I name it? I thought I did I could care. I did I could care. You know what? I was in a totally different place. I wasn't in scripts when I did that. So I was in the right place. Ta-da, there it is. Now it's a file. So again, it doesn't edit the actual file. If I cat whatever here inside scripts, sorry, whatever.txt like that, it didn't change. See, still there, intact, completely. This was the original file that got edited, and you may notice that the file did not change. And then this is the one that got edited. Now, something you might be thinking, well, why can't I just redirect it back to the file that I'm actually streaming from? I know that's what's going through some people's heads. Some people, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. Well, that's a whole other ballgame, but we'll be all right here in just a second. So what if I said, instead of that, you're probably wondering, what if I did the other thing? Whatever, right here. And, this matters right here as far as that goes. I think I'll just even show you because I don't care. All right, this is not going to work. Check this out. You're thinking, oh, it's just going to remove the went, right? Let's see if it does. Why didn't I just go ahead and like hit my up arrow? That'd have been so much easier. It's blank. It's empty. Why? Because you can't do it. You can't write to the same file you're reading from it simultaneously. Does that make sense? If you do, it will wipe out the whole file and there'll be nothing in it. So don't do that. You'd have to save it to a separate file and then copy the file over afterwards. You cannot stream and read from the same file simultaneously. It's just like regular programming. Say you use like a programming language like Python or whatever. You have to read in the entire file, then you can write it out. Same things happen here. So while we're reading it in with sed, and it's writing stuff out per line, okay? As it reads it in, it writes it out. Well, that's a problem if you're writing back to the same thing you're reading from. You end up with nothing in your file afterwards. So you can't do that. So what I would have to do, quite literally, if I wanted the result that I was wanting after that, would be cp-f, for instance, for forcing it, so that way it doesn't ask us, do you really want to copy this file, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I do. Then I can say, I could care if I could spell it, I could care even more, right? txt, and then I say /scripts here, and then slash whatever, txt, like so. And now this is going to give me back. I'm not typing yet. Let's say I'm not going through that. See that? So I wrote out to this file for my proper output, and then I copied it over afterwards. That is what will work. Does that make sense? So just as an example here, you can actually kick out line numbers with -n too, by the way. So which is nice. Let me see if I can't pull up one of these where it's just like freaking crazy. Because it really gets quite interesting. Oh yeah, and by the way, when we're doing the set here, we're doing the -e and whatnot with it. We can do multiples of these, so we can keep doing -e after that first set there for multiple sets of searches. So essentially what I could do is I could keep going with it. I could keep doing -e's here and keep doing additional sets of searches and do different edits together on a single set. Yeah. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And that makes it really nice and useful because then you don't have to constantly do a bunch of craziness with it. So your sed commands, your awk commands can get really ridiculously long. And be aware of that because that's very likely to happen with this stuff. So let's see here. Where's a really crazy awesome example? That'd be great. Oh, I saw some that they had online that were just absolutely nuts. I'm sitting there going, wow. Just wow. Okay, for instance, here's an example from this book here. Alright, so this is an example of one of the ones they wrote here to just give you some idea. So they did SED space in quotes here. Let's get this party started here. -e space. And then we're going to do a substitution with this. And in this case, they have, let's go ahead and get that going. All right, peach. All right, first of all, peach was misspelled. So they're going to fix it. So that was the misspelling, and then we're going to replace it with the correct spelling, like so. Right, and then you can do another -e right here, right, for another set expression, S. And then 1, 2, 3. And then this one's a little more fun right here, because then we're going to say star, or space star to be more accurate. And then in brackets 0 through 9, like so. And then I'm going to do another one here. Boom, like that. And then another star. And then we're going to escape a period. And then we're going to do another 0 through 9. Another 0 through 9. A $sign to denote the end of the line. And we're going to replace that with an actual $sign. And then an ampersand. Like so. Sorry. Yeah, it's not bad. It really isn't when you break it down. So again, in the first part here, if the peach is misspelled, they replace it with the proper spelling of the peach. Here they're saying any number of characters, and then one number, then another number, and then any number of characters after that, right? And then a period that comes after that, and then any number, but it's only a single digit, of course. Any number again as a single digit, and then the end of the line. Whereas over here, we're going to replace all that with a $sign ampersand. And when I say a $sign ampersand, I mean the actual $sign because we escaped it. Right, that's what the slash $sign is. Well, if it helps you, I can type out what you're substituting. So on the first one here, when the moment it finds peach like that, it's going to replace it with peach. And the second one, you're like, well, yeah, that one's easy. True. But the second one here would have been had to start with, well, whatever. Like for instance, I could say something like file 00.15. That would be a match. And it would get replaced with yeah. I should be correct on that. Because the ampersand isn't a special character as far as I remember.
So it finds them. You replace the word file and old.
Yeah, because it's any character. See the star? Star means any number of characters. So file here, but then we have digits here. A single digit. In this case, I could do a 0 and a 0 if I want to. It could be something else. Doesn't matter. Then there has to come a dot. Why? Because it's escaped out, right? So any number of characters between then, if I wanted to, or it doesn't have to be. This would be a match for it if it does. And then, like, 15 here would be another number here. So 1 matches that one. 5 matches that one. And then, oh, you know what? I can't have the dot old in there. My apologies. Yeah, it would leave it alone. No, it won't work because dollar sign's the end of the line. So yeah, it'd have to stop right at the 15 there, or whatever. So this is legal here, but the other part isn't. And in here I could have something else here. For instance, I could say old like that if I wanted to, and that would be viable, or should be viable anyways, because of the star. But I can't put it at the end. Yeah.
I guess I'm not fully understanding the escape character backslash before the dollar sign ampersand.
Uh,
Some of it in that particular command line.
okay, so this is a really good example of that. I just really like it like that, preferring that right at the moment. All right, so pointed out here, we have the dollar sign here. In this case, is the end of the line, right? Because it's not escaped. When we put the slash in front of it for the backslash here, in front of the dollar sign, it means dollar sign, not the end of the line. It just means the dollar sign character. An escape character, the backslash, lets you take something that has a special meaning and treat it just as a dollar sign, or just as period, for instance, like the period of it at the end of the sentence.
You want to substitute instead of substituting the dollar sign, say a question mark.
Yeah, say
You wouldn't have to use the backslash.
for instance, say I wanted to do this right here. Say I want to do sed -e space here in quotes, double slashes here, d, etc. The slash. Oh, I'm not gonna type that out. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be lazy. Here, it'll make sense in 1 second here. This is a really simple example because this is a complex example. So showing a simple example a lot of times makes it easier to understand. So, okay, went to the store. Now I can't just say period here. This isn't going to work, right? Because period means any character, single character. Okay, so I can't do that. So I need to escape it so that it looks at it as a period at the end of that sentence. So in order to get rid of its special meaning, I use the escape character like that. And then now
Now it reads it as went to the store period.
right, and it'll delete that line.
Went to the store single character match.
Does that make sense?
Looking for the period character.
Right.
The regular expression.
Correct.
Period.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's looking for the actual period in a sentence and not a special character, a regular expression period, special character. Yeah, so that's how we deal with special characters. Is that making sense to everybody? Alright, and if you thought that was bad, Awk's way worse. Alright. Because Awk uses regular expressions plus conditional statements, loops, things of that nature. Printf, which is stuff. We have talked about loops and if statements, but it actually uses it inside of Awk. Plus, we have not talked about printf, which gives you some additional capabilities beyond echo. Printf, like C type thing, C programming, but they actually have a printf command inside of shell scripting stuff. So you could use printf instead of echo, and it has extra capabilities that echo doesn't have. Echo is just nice and simple. Printf is like the creme de la creme, the most complicated one that lets you do anything you like type deal compared to echo. It's way more powerful, more or less. And echo is just like the simple one where you just want to kick something out and not have to think about it type thing. Type deal. But it doesn't have some of the abilities that you may need sometimes with printf. But yeah. Just as a real quick one, if you want, there's anytime you want to, like, how we're doing this file redirection, anytime you ever want, and you want the process ID number at the name of the file right there, put double dollar signs like that, and it'll actually put the process ID number as the file when it saves it from the save file. So a lot of times administrators will do that in order to basically create individual files based on when it was ran for the program. Each time the program is run, you get a different ID number for them, so therefore you can actually track it when they're executed and everything. So some network admins will do that. Yeah. Oh, well, as soon as it's done executing, it dies. Right after it's done running this. So as soon as the PID is done, it's gone. It exits for these commands. So if you type in like CP blah blah blah, it runs for that however many milliseconds it runs for, right? And then it's gone. So it comes and goes like that. But it does that way you can capture the process ID number if you like. Any questions on this, or is this all gelling? Kind of like the shoe commercial. All right, so are you gelling? All right, so gelling like a felon. All right, so with all that, and I'm just going to resave this before it removes it. That is said. Okay. All right. I'm going to go over DNS. I'm going to break out the said video as a separate video here and like process it as two different videos here in a second. But I'm going to keep going with the lecture right now. But I'm going to break this out as a separate video. Huh? I can do a break right now. Okay, let's go ahead and do a break. We'll process this one. It won't take long because it didn't spend much time, and then we'll do DNS. Take like a 10-minute break.